We love the power and grace of athletes, artists, CEOs, and high achievers with their zest and grit. But have you ever wondered how they cut through all the distractions, harness their energy, and get into flow to achieve their goals? And what do they do with the money that comes their way? I'm Darren Wright, author of Peak Financial Fitness. Join me on a fascinating journey to gain a peek into the intersection of high-performing people and everyday financial life. There will be highs and lows and inspiring stories for you to achieve your goals. So I'm super excited to welcome a total financial mission-driven badass who has cracked the code on teaching kids about money. And you're going to love what you have to hear from Scott today. Scott Donnell is my guest. And you're going to love to hear this, especially if you have kids or grandkids, and even if you don't, because it's really inspiring and he is absolutely smashing it. You will quickly learn that Scott is on a total mission, and I do mean mission. You are all in for a great ride. Scott is high energy, he's high integrity, and there is no doubt he is making an impact on our youth and the world for years to come. Scott is one of the leading voices on teaching kids about money in America. He has the top 1% podcast called Smart Money Parenting. He is a Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the book titled Value Creation Kid. He is the founder of 4 companies impacting 6 million families and counting. And you don't just have the talk, Scott, you walk the walk. And that you exited multiple companies between a few million and 8-figure deals. So welcome, Scott. Great to have you here.
Good to be here. Yeah, I got 4 kids and a wife and a dog too, so I'm actually practicing what I preach.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Most people get on the other end of things and they use their failures and regrets to try to help people. I'm like, no, screw that. I only get one shot with my kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn from the best in the world and figure it out now so that I can set this up for generations to come. So we're on a tear, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel it and I can see it from what the work that I've seen that you've done so far. And as we were talking about earlier, our goal on this podcast is really to inform and inspire others to move closer to what we call finding their financial flow. And we like to talk to high achievers like yourself, interesting people, Olympic athletes, and we're trying to help people to really have awareness about that alignment of when you have a clear goal, that focus follows that, helps you move into flow, and helps you to make smart choices about your money when you have understanding of your values and your goals and how that all kind of comes together. Good. And I was feeling that as I was listening to you in that speech that you had the standing ovation for Better Health, I think it was.
Yeah, Better Health.
Tell me about that.
Never given a talk outside of my own company. And for 12 years, I've been giving the keynote speech to my own employees. We have 600 employees in the company we just sold. Apex Leadership Co. became the largest school fundraising franchise in America. So we've raised over $500 million for schools, worked with millions of families, really cut my teeth in that business. The 10-year overnight success, that was us. We should have failed 100 times, but we just gritted it out and figured it out. So I'd never spoken outside of it. And my friend was like, hey, man, I want you to come talk. And I was like, on what? He's like, well, teach them the money skills that you're teaching all the kids in Gravy Stack now, our banking app for kids that plays like a game. He's like, and I was like, okay. But then I was sitting there the night before writing it up and thinking, some of these people might not have kids. What do people care about when their head hits the pillow? Future generations. Did I do enough? Did I do it right? Where did I screw up? How much counseling are they going to go through sometime in the future? And what can I do now to really move the needle to secure a strong family legacy? And it was kind of a light bulb moment, as we've been doing these business fairs since 2011, with now there's 1,600 of them every year for free. We just put this on. There's one coming in next month at Arcadia Park. Hundreds of kids start their own business, make hundreds of dollars in a 3-hour window, sell to real customers, soap, slime, paper airplanes. There was a girl last year who sat on a stool and gave advice for $3. She was 7. I mean, just unbelievable,
That is
right?
amazing.
Well, I am like, 6 million families now. I've gone through so many reps, and these are live with 6 million customers, helping kids learn good money skills and thinking about the practical skills, the critical thinking skills, the money skills to succeed. So I realized, holy cow, I'm not just the expert here, but I've been talking to the best families in the world for many years. So I just started writing down the names of the best families we've ever worked with. And the families that you have on your kind of your dartboard, it's like, man, if we could just get anywhere close to that, it'll be a happy life. And I wrote all these people down, and then I pulled up the hundreds of pages of notes I've taken from them over the years. I did this the night before the talk. I pulled up I probably have 1,000 pages of notes. And I realized, oh my gosh, they all have the same strategies. And nobody else does it. So that was my talk. The top 10 lessons of the top 100 legacy families on earth. And how you can do it right now. That was the talk. A couple of slides, threw it together, 35 minutes. It was nuts. Standing ovation. People went crazy. We clipped it up, threw it on social. It's got millions of views. But I think we hit a nerve, because I think people, especially in the business world, the finance world, so many people, they're like, I got to get myself set up. I got to figure out wealth. I got to figure out how to secure it, to de-risk it, to grow it, to diversify it. I got to figure out an inheritance. But what we realized from all these families, they focused on heritage more than inheritance, right? They didn't want the lottery curse with their kids and grandkids. They wanted to set up a deep, connected family that knows what it means to have their last name. So those were the kinds of things I talked about.
Yeah, I actually love that. And you come from an interesting perspective, and that you come from a successful grandfather and dad. They built Inter-West Bank.
Yeah.
Right? Inter-West Bank. It was the number one small business bank in America.
That's right.
And they sold it to Wells Fargo for billions of dollars, and then they proceeded to give it all away to widows and orphans.
Threw it all away to widows and orphans.
Aren't you a little pissed?
I actually have never been.
Cool.
Because there's a way to do this that doesn't cause strife and rip apart families. There's a way to teach your kids what matters most in life. What they did is they didn't just make money, they made money matter. And that's a critical thing to teach the next generation. I actually, looking back now, couldn't be more thankful for that. And it is not just them. My great-grandpa basically launched our town. There's a park and a street named after us in Oak Harbor, Washington, where I grew up, north of Seattle. And it's because they gave back. It's because they helped the town. They helped families. They put tens of thousands of families that couldn't afford it in homes. My grandpa was literally It's a Wonderful Life. It was Whidbey Island Savings and Loan before it was called Interwest.
Really? Whidbey Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in the Korean War, and he started this thing on a shoestring, kept the town alive for decades. I mean, it's an unbelievable story, but they said, look, we're going to focus way more about what's left in you than to you. And that changed our family forever. And that's what all 100 of these families focus on. You know, they want their kids to know what it means to have their last name and then be deeply connected and pass on a heritage. You know, if you focus just on inheritance for your kids, it's going to cause a lot of strife. Your job as a parent is not just to secure a net worth when you're dead and then give half of it to the government, the other half to your kids, or if you're sly, you can give most of it away to them. That actually turns out to be the lottery curse. You know, all the people that win the lottery ruins their life.
Sure, you bet.
90% of generational wealth is gone by the grandkids. That's the surface stat. The below stats are what frighten me. It actually rips apart families. Divorce, destruction, addiction, violence, like mental health issues. Families, literally disparagement and never talking to each other again. When you throw a bunch of money in without the training and communication and depth of relationship, it wreaks havoc.
Couldn't agree more. It's that old adage that, you know, if you are not mentally capable and ready to accept money, that it'll destroy you or it'll be gone the next day.
That's right.
And I've seen that a lot in my other life, where I work with highly successful families, tactically, strategically, with the smart people that are on my team. We can get that all done properly, whatever they want to do. But where my value comes in and talking to people is the in-between, really that idea of what are the reasonings behind that? What's your why? Why are you wanting to do those things?
Yep.
And then some perspective, which I really love your message. And when you talked about your legacy name, you've got faith, family, and fish.
Yep.
And fish stands for fun, adventurous, integrity, or adventurous fun, right? So
Yeah,
it's
fun and adventure.
Fun and adventure.
Integrity.
Service and hard work.
Service and hard work. Fish.
Yeah, fish.
My 3-year-old can say it every day.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. I don't know if there's there's a lot of people that talk about their family name and doing what's right, but you've given it some deeper thought. Where did that come from?
Yeah, well, let me explain this real quick to everyone listening. After these talks, we started workshops because everyone was like, "You've got to do it right now." Half the audience stood up like, "You're doing this right now." So now we're launching family legacy workshops where we boil down we have 23 strategies for family legacy. It's basically like Euclid's axioms of geometry for family legacy. How to secure a strong family legacy for generations to come and prepare your kids for their own wealth, not for your wealth, for their own. There's a lot of things that you specifically can do while they're in your home to set that up for life and remain deeply connected to them. And so that's what we're training on. We actually have familylegacyworkshop.com, and we're launching these workshops every month with hundreds of families. This is the best way to train in this. But I think, let me explain this for a second. Kids learn through story, okay? It doesn't help to just write down a mission statement. This is for businesses too. If you're an entrepreneur, you better have something that your people have a visual picture of for your mission and your values and what you believe in. They need a visual picture. They need a simple acronym. They need something that they can say on the back of a napkin in 2 seconds to their cousin who asks them why they do what they do. That's the only way values matter. So what we train in our workshop is principle-based stories that then reflect values. That's why we have faith, family, fish for my kids. My 3-year-old can say it, and they say it every day. Hey guys, what do we, who made you? God. What do we stand for? Faith, family, fish. Every morning. That's what, after they start their day and hit their breakfast, that's what we say. And it sets the intention. But then on top of that, we are telling stories of our ancestors to them. I'm talking about my family going all the way back to the King Agrippa of Scotland and how my family came across the Oregon Trail and the stories of our fathers and mothers and grandparents and the things that they did to show the values. And those stories connect the values to deep long-term memory for kids. So we don't teach like, hey, here's your 2-paragraph mission statement to go throw up on some picture on your wall that no one ever reads. We want you to make it actionable. Every single one of our tools in our workshops now, if they're not operational the next day in the home, we don't use them. Because all we care about is the needle being moved for families. I've paid millions of dollars. You know what I'm talking about. For masterminds and events and looking at amazing people, and then you walk away and you never do anything with it. So we set up our system that's virtual cohorts of parents and families and grandparents. Here's a tool. It's something you probably have never seen before because we're building these with all of these 100 legacy families. Here's a powerful tool. We're going to go through it together. We're going to plan out the action steps. And for you to show up on next week's cohort call, you're going to do it. You got to do it to show up. So it's forced accountability. It's actionable. Like that's the way this stuff works. So everything we think about is if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, it's not worth doing it all. And you don't understand it yourself if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old.
Right. Well, your perspective is strong. I love how you frame things and how you're teaching. You obviously have a lot of skill and messaging, and that comes from Apex.
Yeah.
But more than Apex.
Yeah.
That came from your parents.
Right. I was blessed. I was very blessed. My first business was 8 years old. I got raised in the value creation mindset, which is our book, Value Creation Kid. Part of this is my story. My family did like 70% of the things we teach. I'm so thankful. I'm not one of those like, I did go from rags to riches because I never got anything handed to me. Mm-hmm. But they said, no, we're going to teach you to fish. That's actually part of why fish is in the name.
Well, I was wondering if that's where it was coming from before you actually explained it. But
that's exactly what. There's so many reasons why we say the word fish. We want our kids to be learning to fish. We're not going to give them the fish. We want them to be fishers of men. We want to share God's love. We want, and we're a water family. We were at the lake all summer surfing. I grew up on the ocean. We love the beach. We go to Hawaii every year. Our family is like mermaids. Like my kids can swim at 3, really well. So it's just all connected. And now my kids understand what it means to be a Donnell. They understand that Donnells make things better. That's how we boil down the value creation mindset, which is what our best-selling book is about. Learn how to make everything better around you, and then you can reach any dream in your life. So Donnells leave things better. Yep.
The Donnells leave things better.
That's right.
Man, I love that. I mean, it's like you go camping, leave it better. You go to the beach, leave it better.
You go to your friend's house, you better shake hands and look them in the eye. Say thank you, clean up around you. Say please and thank you, do your own dishes. Like all this stuff matters starting at a very young age. The value creation mindset, this is one of our tools as well that we train. And this is directly in Gravy Stack, which is our banking and investing app for kids. This thing is exploding. Our mission is 50 million kids financially competent, ready to succeed. And I'll tell you in a minute about that home economy system because I think your audience will freak out over that because that's another tool. But the value creation mindset, that's the red pill, man. When you think this way, your whole lens and outlook changes on life, especially a kid. You want to get your kids out of, if you're scared that your kids have a chance of laziness, victimhood, entitlement, spoiling, self-doubt, anxiety, use the value creation training, and they will be inoculated against any of those forever. It's literally like it keeps them from socialist thinking. It keeps them from all of the clicks and popularity, and all they're doing is they're finding ways to create value in every scenario of their life. And value can be material value, what you create and produce. It can be emotional value, how you think and feel and help others think and feel. Or it can be spiritual value, how you lift others beyond themselves to something greater.
Scott, I use different terminology, but as an advisor for 30 years, and my kids are now older than yours, they're 22, and 20, I use a different terminology called, are you a producer or a consumer? Do you produce value or do you just consume?
You get it.
Like, are you a sucker on a side of a fish, a parasite, or are you a producer going out and producing value to the world? Your terminology is different, but I love that. I love what you're saying. I love that, those choices of words. And as I was listening to one of your videos, you talked about socialist, right?
Allowance.
Yes, the allowance is socialism. So I want to break that down because I did a lot of good things about my kids. My kids are very good kids. They're smart. They're financially savvy and so forth, and they're working hard. But I definitely screwed up on that one because they got an allowance. And so I would love you to break that down a little bit because I listened to what you said, but I think our listeners would really appreciate that perspective, and it's strong.
Yeah, and obviously not all parents who do allowance are evil. Like there's so many ways to do it right. And actually they may call it allowance, but they're probably using our principles. So there's 3 problems with allowance, and 85% of Americans give their kids an allowance. Why do you think we have the problem we do with Gen Z and millennials of less than 1 in 4 22-year-olds is financially independent? The average family is the bank of mom and dad is open till the kid's 30 right now for certain things. 76% of 25-year-olds fail a basic financial literacy test right now. Like, what's interest? Like, Darren, here's $100 and you get 2% interest. In a year from now, it's not 102. They say, do you have more money, less money, the same amount, or you don't know?
That's scary.
That's the kind of questions on these tests, and over 3/4 of these kids are failing it at age 25. 41% of Gen Z thinks they'll never own a home. 65% thinks that they'll never get Social Security because it's going to be gone. They'll never be able to retire, and they believe that we're in late-stage capitalism. Most Gen Z and Alpha believe we're in late-stage capitalism. They saw the Dow go from, what was it when you were 30, 40 years ago? 4,000, 5,000?
Right.
Now it's at 35,000.
Right.
So they're looking at that and saying, for me to get the same accumulation of wealth, it has to go to 200 plus thousand in 30 years. How the heck is that going to happen?
Well, my kids talk about just getting a home, buying a home these days, and where you and I live, we're in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Pretty difficult for someone coming out of college, but that mindset, the limiting mindset, and some of the thoughts there.
But I look at it a different way, and I go, yeah, we can get to 200,000, guys. Wake up. If you have a value creation mindset, it's shooting fish in a barrel. There's value do you think people 35, 40 years ago ever thought we'd be at a 35,000 Dow right now?
No, in fact,
No.
The Dow closed at 10,500 in 2000, and now we're 3x.
That's right.
In 13 years.
That's right. Value is created when problems are solved, when wants and needs are filled, and people have more cooperation between strangers. That's how I define the economy to children. So that's how the pie gets bigger. It's not dollars in circulation. That's not how you create GDP. You create GDP based on value created, and value can be created from thin air every day. In fact, the future goes to the value creators, the people who find these things and solve them, the people who find wants and needs and fill them. There's unlimited wants and needs and problems in the world that you can solve. You just need to have the mindset and the courage, the capability, and the confidence, which is what we train in our book. There's 90 healthy struggles that kids should be going through before they turn 18. And that breeds capability, confidence, and value creation. And you just go right through the cycle again in all these areas. Those kids are going to be head and shoulders above everybody else. Head and shoulders. And their parents are going to sit back and love watching it happen. So that's the thinking here. And when it comes to allowance, back to that for a second. We say allowance is the first step into entitlement if you don't do it right. Okay? You probably did it way better than most. Most parents are just like, here's your $10 a week. Good luck. Kids just use it to buy whatever they want to. Candy, a movie, toys. They're like, oh, at least my kid has some spending money. They don't learn anything with your money. They need to earn their own money to then spend it wisely. They'll never spend your money like they will their own. And the worst is so it's either socialism, because that's what it is. It's a salaried employee because you make them do some chores to get it. But half those chores you shouldn't be paying for, ever. You should never pay your kids to make their bed and clean their room. That's their role in the home. That's their rent. And then the third one is parents who say, oh, I don't pay my kids an allowance. They do their chores like they're told. They're the good kids. Well, congratulations, you have compliant kids. But you're buying everything for them, and they're learning nothing about how to make and manage their own money. They're actually financially set back from other kids. Maybe the low and middle income kids who have to fend for themselves, make some extra funds and pay for things. They're actually behind those kids. So what we say is those are the issues. Like we're about to launch a huge anti-allowance campaign and it's going to cause waves. My TikTok I just showed you, 218,000 views because I said allowance is socialism.
Yeah.
All these like progressive people came out of the woodwork, just like lambasted me. And then all the mama bears came out, said, no, he's exactly right. And then it just created this huge storm. And it's ripping still. I mean, I got like 5,000 followers yesterday.
Wow.
It's crazy. So this way of thinking is critical. So what we said is, why? Parents do this out of love. They don't do this they don't want to entitle their kids. They do it out of love. They do it out of what they think they're doing is best for their kids. But it's also very hard to do any other system, right? The whiteboard with, things they can do around the house and sticker systems and point systems and ticket systems or cash, like I'll give you cash for doing these things. That's hard to do. So they'd rather press the easy button and check off the parenting box by giving an allowance. So what we set out to do in Gravy Stack was, no, let's make it just as easy as allowance, but have the intrinsic motivation of the kids to do these things on their own, because that removes conflict, bribery, nagging, the emotional exhaustion from trying to make your kids do things over and over again, which, by the way, you still have that problem with allowance, right?
Sure.
So we created what we call the home economy system. This is what all the legacy families did. They just didn't have a name for it, but they all do it. What they said is it's 3 E's. So if anyone's listening, write these down. Expectations, expenses, extra pay. That is the best system to train your kids on how the real world works and have them start to make and manage their own money in your house and save you a lot of pain, okay? So expectations. These are the things my kids are going to do as their role in the home, okay? Make bed. You're not getting paid, by the way. These are free things. You're not getting paid for these. Doing well in school. Bed. Clean your room. Brush your teeth. Good hygiene, right? Probably dishes and trash. That's part of your role in this house. And we have about 10 of them in the app that they just click, 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 click. Now it's set. That's table stakes. Then the second one, expenses, is where a lot of parents go wrong. They don't pass off expenses to their kids because they believe it's their job to provide everything for the kids until the kids are out on their own, untrained on how to do it themselves. The best parents, the legacy parents, they started passing off certain expenses at age 6. So by the time the kids had their driver's license, they were fully personally responsible for over a dozen types of expenses. Not like dinner and the basics, but all the extras. The kids were now in charge of paying for those hundreds of dollars a month. These are things like, starts with toys, souvenirs, trinkets, maybe in-app purchases or tech. Then it goes into extra sporting equipment, clothes, social outings with friends. You want to go on a trip, a social trip or a mission, whatever. You're making that money to pay for those things. Birthday presents for friends. That's an amazing one. If you have, how many times do we or our spouses buy the present, wrap the present, buy the card, the kid signs it, and chucks it on the table?
Probably way too many.
Probably 100 times.
Maybe 100% of the time.
That kid is not learning generosity. You make them make the $15 at home through our third E, which I'll get to in a second.
Where were you 22 years
I know.
ago?
Parents, we are getting transformational stories left and right from parents. They're literally drinking wine, being like, we're just chilling. This is amazing. Kids who buy that present, you help them wrap it, they sign it, they're going to run into that party, hand it right to the kid, not the table. They'll give it right to the kid, say, open this. I got this for you. I want to see your face. That kid learns generosity for life. That's the kid that's an unbelievable college kid. That's the kid that has unbelievable friends in their 20s. That's the kid that understands the responsibility and the personal responsibility of money. Okay, so those are the expenses that you need to start passing off. And then when they're older, it's like gas and insurance and half their car, all these things.
It's a phenomenal concept.
Now, parents have hundreds of dollars, and maybe we have parents giving $1,000+ a month for their kids that they're saving. Now the kids are in charge of those $1,000+, 12-year-old. Now they have the third E, which is extra pay opportunities. We call them home gigs. In our app, you can set anywhere between 1 and 55 gigs around the house that kids can do around the house to save you time and effort. They're turning into an unbelievable helper around the house. And these are extra things on top of expenses or expectations, right? Not the free stuff. These are paid gigs that you can earn any day, 24/7. And all they got to do in the app is click a box of what they did on Saturday or any day of the week. Midnight on Saturday, boom, payday happens. It goes right into their money machine, which we reinvented banking. That's another conversation. Gravy Stack shows the flow of their money right into their save, share, and spend account. So they know they can't spend every dollar they made. We force a percentage to go into each jar through coins so that parents can watch with their kids the flow of their money. It takes away the decision of having to spend and having to save and having to share. So now they're learning personal responsibility. Oh, I can earn things and pay my own way. Oh, I'm learning trade-offs. I'm learning the cost of goods. I'm learning budgeting. I'm learning forecasting and planning ahead and goal setting. They're doing all that with one fell swoop. And then for the parents, we give them a print off for the fridge. Every week, you just throw it on the fridge so the kids know at any moment what they can do. And parents are just, this is unbelievable.
Man, it sounds incredible. It almost sounds too good to be true. Is there any hair on the dog, people that are struggling with it, or is it just more like anything else, your level of commitment?
The struggle's taking the 10 minutes to do it at the beginning. It takes 10 minutes. You give them their first dozen gigs, and then you just get the printout, throw it up once a week. It's literally as easy as allowance once you set up the system. But you got to get into Gravy Stack. You got to create the bank account for them. You got to set the payday on Saturday night. You got to set up the gigs, and then you're done because it auto repeats. The gigs auto repeat. You can set them to be daily, weekly, monthly repeats.
And then it's tied to your bank, so you're just transferring some funds in there.
Yeah.
And then that gamification of all of this is showing what they're earning of the money you've deposited.
That's right.
And then it drops into their account. They can then take it and use it.
Yep. It's a bank account for kids with a save, spend, share, and invest. It's parents can hook up any bank account to it. You can hook up Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, any bank through Plaid. You just hook it up. The money goes into your wallet and you pay the kids for their gigs. And then they learn community gigs as well, not just at home.
Well, okay, so let's talk about community gigs and then let's talk about share because I like where you're going with that or where you already are with that.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about the stages of earning real quick. This is another one of our key tools that we train in our workshops. There's 4 stages of earning that kids need to go through to be fully value creators, like full value creators in the world. Starts with home gigs, which I just explained. That gives them the confidence at home to create value and earn funds. Then you move into an asset flip. These are going to garage sales, selling something online for more on eBay or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Parents are reviewing and keeping it safe, but better is in your garage, things you don't want anymore. Teach your kids to go flip it online and split the profits. It's a gig. Now they're learning asset accumulation. That's the second stage of earning for a kid. The third stage is community gigs, which is in the neighborhood with family and friends, with grandma and grandpa. Now they have that capability and confidence in your home to replicate it outside the home. Okay? Parents let their kids run into the world and go get a job. We want them to create value, right? And that can start as early as ages 5 and 6, okay? Even earlier. So now they're doing community gigs and bringing in extra revenue to the home. So our kids are making thousands of dollars in young. They're becoming value creators early, and that's adding net revenue to the parents. So now the parents like, wow, we're paying them, but they're making a lot more money elsewhere to cover all the expenses we're passing off. What we're doing is we're matching the software in the home environment that matches the real world environment, right? We're still having a safe, loving, protected, close environment at home, but you're matching the environment of the real world so that when they get there, it's like the next step. It's an easy next step. The last stage is their first run of products or services. And we have this in level 8 of our game in Gravy Stack in the app. It's their first run of products and services that they can... So you say
level 8, just like a normal game, they can work their way up through the levels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 100 games, 10 levels: earn, save, spend, share, invest, protect, which is an online security, safety online, which is critical. People don't ever teach this when it relates to money, but we teach passwords and insurance and tax protection and all these things in a level. Then we go into borrowing, the issues of borrowing, the potentials of it. Create value, which is this creating value with your first small service or products. And then you don't have to run a business forever, not entrepreneurs. Anybody can go sell 10 of something or sell to 10 neighbors, spraying an address on their front curb for $20, okay? We want to teach them that ability to create that value outside the home with their first run. And they can continue on forever or just stop there. But they have to learn that ability at home. It's like the lemonade stand on steroids. And they get a Stripe account included with Gravy Stack, so anybody can just pay right there. So we've thought about it from a very different angle. It's like, how can a 5-year-old start these things now instead of when they're saddled with debt at 25, right? When they've got a bunch of credit card debt and student loan debt, and they don't know how to budget, they've never even seen a checkbook, and they don't believe in the market, they don't believe in investing. They'd rather just hang out with their friends and blow their money on experiences. How do you set it up decades earlier where that's not even a thought when they're 25? That's the goal.
Well, you are making an impact. I mean, that's really incredible. I'm just thinking of how beneficial this would be for my kids, but also my clients' kids, my friends' kids, my neighbors' kids. and then grandkids. If
Yeah.
if we didn't, definitely have a green and growing mindset. And if I feel like I didn't get it done to an optimized level for my kids, at least I can help their kids.
Yeah.
With some of these different tools, messaging.
Can I share
really
with you
amazing.
one thing we do for grandparents?
Please.
Because this is important to hear. Every family has crazy, okay? Even including mine. I got crazy cousins. There's crazy everywhere.
Yeah.
And nobody's perfect. Legacy starts now. Like, you have the chance to be the power mover in your family now. Doesn't matter what age your kids are. I've seen unbelievable transformations with people that have 50-year-old kids. Unbelievable transformation. It's just going through these systems and tools of the top families, and you just start implementing them. But one of the things that's important...
And where do they get that information? Is it from this book as well?
It's from our workshops.
The workshops, okay.
Yep. Go to familylegacyworkshop.com and just sign up. We do family legacy design sessions with our team where we'll help you, like, what are your 2 biggest needle movers this year? And we'll give you the tools for that. And then if you want to join one of our workshops, a couple grand, like, just join with another cohort of families and use these tools. We'll give you all the tools. Mm-hmm. But one thing we built for the extended family and grandparents is brain gigs. So we don't just do home gigs, which are like using your hands and feet to do work, sweep, wash windows, pump tires, make a meal, clean the common rooms, organize a closet, clean a bathroom, yard work. There's a million things kids can do that parents don't even realize. We have that list, and it's just a one click, set it up on the calendar. But these brain gigs are probably my favorite part of the app. Grandparents could literally give a brain gig to the grandkids and pay them to learn something that they want them to learn for life. It's like the village raising the child idea. A PragerU video, an article, a book, don't eat sugar for a week, a challenge that they give them. They're all right there in the app. So they can pay these brain gigs, and even if they live in Florida and the kids are somewhere else, they can start connecting with the kid. And for the kid to earn the $5-10 or whatever it is, they have to prove that they did it and show their lessons learned and how they want to apply it. So now instead of giving them $200 at Christmas, now you have a way to connect with them year round and pass on the things that you deeply want them to understand that matter most to you. These brain gigs are starting to fly.
And that is through the app?
Yep.
Okay.
Right there in the app. They one click, just like you're giving home gigs, they can give brain gigs. And all this goes right on the kid's calendar. One click once it's done. It's super powerful for families. You asked me about sharing a minute ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, so our workshops and the app, we focus on our 5 core money skills, right? Earn, save, spend, share, invest. Those are the 5 core money skills that you've got to pass to your kids before they leave the home. And we have strategies for each one. The sharing one is the most powerful by far. When a kid learns generosity, they have an open hand view of money and the future instead of a closed fist view. It's abundance versus scarcity. They believe that the pie can get bigger. They learn empathy. They learn caring for their fellow man. I think the best entrepreneurs in the world are the deepest carers in the world. Yes, the profit motive is powerful, but impact is the reason why the long-term entrepreneurs last. You have to teach a kid to care. And it starts with sharing a toy. Like, there's also stages, just like there's stages of earning, there's stages of giving and sharing. No kid just automatically comes out of the womb being like, there's a starving child in Africa, we have to give. It starts with sharing a toy, giving away toys, serving in a local, whatever it would be, with the family, going on a service trip, like sharing. Then it moves into generosity with their hard-earned money. It doesn't work if you're at church on Sunday and you give your kids a $10 bill to throw in the plate.
Right.
Okay. They're basically a credit card processor at that point. Hard-earned giving is what matters the most. So teaching that generosity, it's a muscle, and it grows over time. And what these legacy families have found is that when they focus hard on that piece, and then they bring their kids starting in their teens, maybe even 10, 12 years old, when they start bringing them into their giving conversations, let them have an input and a say and know where the family's giving, it sets the kids up for life, for generosity.
Well, that abundant versus scarcity mindset is something that I've been talking to my kids about for a long time. And really, it flows into conversations that I have with just other people, helping them to achieve their different success goals. But it's something that kind of comes easy to me and you, but not everybody, that thought. Sometimes it's shocking when I'm talking to someone about that, the difference between an abundant mindset and a scarce mindset. And they're like, I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
But no judgment, but it's not necessarily something that everybody has awareness about.
I don't believe in the name it, claim it, or prosperity gospel kind of things. I'm not that kind of guy. In fact, I actually believe at my heart that when you give, you should never expect anything in return from anybody, including God. But there is something that happens when you have this mindset. And it's higher than us. It's an energy that you run at that attracts others. It attracts opportunity. It attracts deals. It attracts trust. The most generous people that I know have the most unbelievable opportunities that just come to them. It's just their way of living. And then they pass it on more and they give it away more. There's this saying that David Green told me. He's the Hobby Lobby founder.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable family. They're one of our 100 families that we interview and study and work with. He said, when I was starting out Hobby Lobby, we were just getting going. All 5 of his siblings became ministers, by the way. He was the only business guy. Mm. And someone needed help, and he felt like he was supposed to give $30,000. And he was making $20,000 a month in total revenue of the business. He did not have $30,000. So he wrote 4 checks for $7,500, cash them every month. And he said, something just happened. It just happened in the business. You can't outgive God. And the business doubled in like 2 months to pay for it. And he said, what? Did it again. Just did it again. Did it again. To now, 40 years later, they're about to give away $1 billion in 1 year. They have half their profits they give away to charities all over the world, ministry all over the world. They've helped hundreds of millions of people all over the world. You can't outgive God. He told me this thing. He's like, I forget the quote of who said it, but he said, you can't take it with you, but you can pass it on ahead. If you really understand what that means, it's powerful. But I think that that's what happens when you have this generous mindset. It allows you to see opportunities you couldn't see before. It allows you to understand more of how the world should work. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, it's I've been doing a lot of thought around that. That idea as well, it's similar but different, where you are thinking of the self. Like the self can be one of your biggest heroes, allies. It can be a bedrock for you, but it can also be one of your biggest hurdles and challenges. Because when you think about the self, you can ruminate on things, you can obsess about things, and you're really not thinking about others and putting things out there.
Yeah.
And so if you can, it's the whole package deal. If you can be disciplined to find a daily gratitude ritual in the morning. I like to do it in the morning, get up at 5:30, go outside, kind of stack my goals by watching the sun come up, get my circadian rhythm dialed in. I've got a great spiritual coach from Canyon Ranch, this amazing person, Jean-Marie Mudd, and she taught me the importance of meditation. We all know how important meditation is. It's difficult to plug in, but people like Ray Dalio, who wrote a book called Principles, but he started Bridgewater Capital, which is one of the largest hedge funds in the world. I think he's now since sold out his interest, but he talks about meditation being one of the most powerful things. So we all know meditation is very powerful, but how much meditation are we doing? And so anyway, she got me a little bit more focused on that. Just that 12 minutes of meditation, getting into flow and thinking, and just getting out of your own way. Just, again, moving away from the self, thinking outward. And so it's not exactly what you're talking about, but it's similar mindset.
Well, it's the fastest way to get yourself out of depression. It's the fastest way to get yourself out of sulking or woe is me feelings.
Pitiful feelings.
Yeah. Give, serve, help someone else. It is the fastest way, because what you do is you're moving yourself away from the woe is me thinking, right? A lot of people focus on in the weeds on the immediate problem, and they forget to understand that there's an entire world out there of people to help. And that's where true fulfillment and satisfaction comes. Impact. I
Giving to
promise,
others, thinking about others. Yeah.
I promise, man, I've never felt, the best I ever felt with money was not when I sold an 8-figure or a 9-figure company or went public. It was when I made my first $5,000 deal. Sold my first school, got the contract, and the money hit the bank. It was like this moment of, oh my gosh, it worked. And we're going to serve 600 families from it. We did it. And this is going to help so many people. I've never felt that ever, as to that level ever again. And I've always thought of that. People think one more dollar when I get there, when I have this much, when X amount is here, there, or the other, then I'll be satisfied. I'll be fulfilled. It is a never-ending pit. It's a pit. In fact, some of the most miserable people I know are the wealthiest people I know. And I'm not saying don't grow wealth. I'm saying you have to think about your wealth in the opposite way that you're thinking right now. I believe wealth actually comes to those that are the most generous. Even though I don't believe in prosperity thinking, I do see it left and right. But that only happens when you don't think that by giving I'll get. You can't, because that's not true giving, right? That's giving with strings attached. That's not true generosity. You know, what's that scripture? When you give, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
I'm not familiar with that one, but
yeah,
makes sense.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm. There's also a mindset out there that where that self can get in the way again for you, and that some of the most successful people out there may feel like they're not getting the credit they deserve or the recognition they deserve, and they can really just be destroyed from that mindset.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking inward and not thinking outward.
Let me share with you something kind of crazy. This is off topic a little bit, but it's not. 2 years ago when we sold our company, it was a 30x EBITDA sale. We built a moat around this business. Unbelievable. It was like complete blue ocean. No one could touch us. It was the best fundraiser in America. And Amy and I, it was a huge ticket, right? Her knees buckled when she saw the Wells Fargo account. That is that kind of a moment. And we could have coasted. We could have been great. Diversify it, 7 to 8%, go, like shelter, live a creamy life, all candy. We were called into reinvesting and stewarding and not being the coast, retire couple at, late 30s. We were called back into Gravy Stack and the mission, which is now $12 million into building an app for kids. And these workshops, which we never would have had any of this if we didn't say impact is our goal. We had to step into a discomfort again. We invested, we reinvested a lot of this. We're at a point now where it's like, yeah, I can't just coast, We're stretching because of the impact and the significance of what we're now being called into. And the thing that's holding us on is a God strategy. It's like impact is what we want to do. We want to give away $1 billion by 2037 and serve and impact 1 billion people around the world.
I saw that.
And I'm just telling you, anybody who's in this situation, you need to focus on that, the value creation. It will give you the life that your kids and grandkids want to emulate. Your kids need to see you living this way. This is why I say retirement is like the exit lounge for life.
Oh, totally. Well, just think of the actual term, what retirement means,
Yeah.
of no more value or service.
Yeah. It's like telling God to take the parts back.
Right.
I mean, do you know the two fastest dying jobs after retirement? You want to know? One, doctors.
Okay.
They spend their whole life with a very specific set of skills that are no longer useful,
Yep.
and they're dead within 9.5 years of retirement. The fastest is insurance actuaries. They spend their whole career calculating when you're supposed to die, and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's crazy. You have to focus on impact. Never retire. I think you should stop doing the things you hate or suck at, but I think you should always be adding impact and adding value. And if you leave one job, find other passions, find other callings, find other ways to make impact and be significant. But that's the thinking that you have to have a family legacy that means something.
Yeah. People will ask me, what is it that you actually do? And I just help people achieve their goals. And one of the things that really causes me to take a step back is when I ask someone what their goals are. Someone may have just sold for lots and lots of money, $50 million. And so what are some of your goals now? And we're just maybe having a beer and having a conversation. And every now and then someone may say, I don't have any more. And I'm like, wait, say that again. You have no more goals? So part of it is, and again, it's not a judgment call at all. It's, okay, let's think about that for a moment. What are some of the things that are important to you in life? And kind of lead them down the path of what matters to them. But what you're talking about is, I definitely have great appreciation of the value creation aspect. And these are all very good people and very successful that were able to build great businesses. So they have that mindset. They know how to create value. They know how to create businesses. They know they have great families. But maybe that's just something that they just aren't thinking of. Maybe it's in the back of their mind, but they haven't articulated it. So that value creation mindset goes, okay, yeah, well, that's important. Now I got this value creation mindset. All right, well, what's a goal that I want to do with that? Okay, could be a financial goal. It could be something for giving, philanthropic. It could be something for their health, for their relationships, for their family.
Write a book, for God's sakes.
Something.
For the rest of your family to understand how you got to where you got to.
God, that's amazing, right?
Yeah. There's so many things people can do. I mean, nobody should ever be hung out to dry until they're dead.
Yeah.
Everybody has unbelievable wisdom and skill sets and unique abilities that can change the world. Doesn't matter how old you are. I'm in some of these mastermind groups with guys in their late 70s. There's 80-year-olds in these groups paying tens of thousands of dollars to be in a group where they're making more impact now than they've ever made. Dan Sullivan, he's 79 years old. He wrote 50 books in the last 8 years. Think about that.
I've got a handful in my library right now.
He's the GOAT. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he wants to live till he's 150, right? And he's thinking that way because the idea here is if you're going to wake up tomorrow and do more of what you were born to do, impact more people, and have the freedom of time, money, relationships, and purpose, do you think you're going to die tomorrow? Probably not. Save a car accident or a heart attack or something. You're probably not going to die tomorrow. You're going to have energy in you and fire in your bones. That's the point. And so, and truly, this does come down to legacy. It's fine to say, I want to make my most important business my family. That's a great thing to do. You should be doing that whether you have a career or a business or not. That should be the primary focus. But I think it's never think of this idea where I'm done creating value in the world.
Right.
That should never happen.
I'm retired.
Right.
Right. And it's certainly not a badge of honor. It's certainly respectable that if you sold a business, if that was something that you wanted to do.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep.
But you're not retired.
Yep.
Or you shouldn't be.
It's on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And there should be freedom in what we do. I think if you're doing your unique ability, and this is what gets back to the flow state. How do the highest performers perform? All they do is their unique ability. I've set up, I told you before this call as kind of a joke, I haven't read an email in 2.5 years. It's because I systematically go through my life and automate, delegate, or eliminate everything that is not my unique ability. I am a bigger future enabler. I have visions and strategies of an entirely bigger future for something that would make deep impact in people's lives. Now we're using it for kids. We're using it for our gravy stack and our family legacy workshops. But I'm helping friends, businesses grow 10x with one call because I can see a bigger future. That's my bigger future enabler mindset. That's my unique ability. And so I want to delegate, automate, and eliminate everything else from my plate. What I eat, what I wear, emails, everything I can possibly get out of the way so I can focus on that. And it has created so much value for all of the people around me and all of our customers and my family and my friends. You know, I get calls every day from friends saying, I have an issue. What do I do in the business? I have an issue. What do I do with my kids? And in 10 minutes, I can help unlock a future for them. Ironically, I've never charged a penny for that. But that's because I'm able to add so much value in my own businesses that why would I? You know?
Well, hats off to you. You definitely have the key to getting into that flow state by the elimination of all those other types of distractions.
Yeah.
So well done. That's not easy to do.
And if anyone's listening, there's a quick inventory you can do. It's pretty simple. Take 5 minutes, write down everything you did in the last month. Every single thing, opening mail, buying this, thinking about this, energy spent, write it all down, and then give it a 1, 2, or 3. A 1 is something that I hated and was bad at. A 2 are some things I hate, but they at least add value to myself or the bottom line or my family or whatever. And then 3 are the things I'm absolutely loving, I'm really good at, and they add a ton of value. And then your goal is to just get rid of number 1s altogether, automate and delegate the number 2s, and then focus on expanding the number 3s to become your entire life.
I think I might have gone through that exercise in a Dan Sullivan class.
That's a Dan Sullivan
years ago.
That's a unique ability framework from Dan Sullivan, strategic coach. Shout
absolutely. Yeah. There's another tactic with that I like, Scott. It's looking at how many hours there are in the day, 24. You're sleeping for 8 of them, and then look at all the time you're spending on all those types of things and figure out what your dollar amount per hour is and put a dollar amount on those other types of things. And it starts stacking up to be quite a bit of money.
Totally does. Totally does. You know, we're launching these workshops right now, and I am solely focused on it because the impact it's making and the value it brings to our business. It's securing and de-risking the entire company. And it's making such a massive impact on the client, on the families, that we had a meeting last week and I said, all right, here were the 9 things I was doing before. And your job from now on is to make sure I never think about these 9 things again to my whole team so I can solely focus. And that's what I've been doing. I was up till 12:30 last night, writing, thinking, building. I'm on fire for this. Did I have to? Probably not. But I'm on fire for it, man. And that's what happens when you're doing your unique ability. I don't wear a watch. I don't know what time it is right now. I'll forget to eat or pee. That you want to talk about high flow states.
Yeah. Dude, you are exemplifying that. 100%.
I'm on fire right now.
Yeah, you are.
So that's where I want to live because it's so much more beneficial to everyone around me and myself that why would I do something I suck at or hate? It just doesn't make sense.
So as you know, with flow states, you got to have some recovery. You have active recovery and then passive recovery. What do you do to maintain that peak flow state, Scott?
Free days. Free days, focus days, and buffer days. This is another strategic coach axiom. Free days, if you're exhausted, sometimes the time to stop working is when working is no longer working. You have to take those free days to recover. I am a sprint builder. So I am not like, 4 hours exactly the same time every day. I do the most important things first, obviously, but I'll sprint on something if like a dog on a bone, and then I'll recuperate. And so for me, skiing, surfing, recovery days with the family, daddy-daughter, daddy-son dates. I have a date night tonight with my wife. I'm heading over to LA tomorrow night for a world record that we're going to break. I didn't even tell you this.
Tell me about it.
It's called Elevate.Kids. This is coming out afterwards, but people can get the recordings of it. We're going to break a world record with the most kids on a live stream in history learning financial literacy.
Awesome.
So there's been 10 million eyeballs on this site. We're going to have 12 of the world's top speakers come to virtually. It's a free event for all kids. They're learning all about family, freedom, and finance for 2 days. We've got Tim Story, Jim Quick, David Meltzer, Cole Hatter, my buddy Jimmy Darts, who's like that YouTuber that gives away the $500 to like people on the side of the road.
Yes.
That's my buddy.
Oh, is that right?
So he's going to come talk about generosity to the kids. Hoping to get
guy.
Tebow to round things out, another good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Gloria Banks, just so many rock stars coming. Tim Story talking about these skills with kids, and there's giveaways and prizes. And we're going to break a Guinness World Record in the process. So every kid gets a certificate by being a part of it. So it's going to be really fun.
That is fun. Gosh, I mean, I'm going to tune into that.
Yeah, elevate.kids. If you guys want to get the recording
kids.
Or if you can get this out, let people know.
That's cool. And let's talk a little bit more about the workshops, how people can learn more and get involved in that.
Yeah, so familylegacyworkshop.com. You can sign up right there and book a call with one of our Family Legacy experts. And they will help you figure out what are the 2 fastest needles to move and the 2 tools that are going to help your family in the next year. And then if you want to join us and work together on workshops, we launch them every month with a cohort of the highest performing families on earth. It's a few grand. I mean, it's really powerful. It's the best investment. The biggest thing I hear is it's the best investment we've ever made in our family, bar none.
Yeah, I believe that.
And we'll have an annual event as well that all of our workshop people can come to. We're going to have world-class speakers as well. But anybody who wants to secure that family legacy for generations to come and then prepare their kids for their own wealth, that's a really key piece, is transferring the knowledge and giving them the skills while staying deeply connected. Right? This is not tough love. This is not drop a 3-year-old in the middle of the deep end and hope to God they survive. You can do this in a way that builds a deep, lasting connection. Let's end with this real quick. There's a difference between independence and interdependence. Okay? I haven't really talked about this too much, but it's one of our other tools that we go through with families that we've just started training on. Nobody wants their kid to turn 18 and leave forever and never come back. That's independence, okay? But we want them to soar on their own. We want them to make it in the real world and be powerful value creators, be benefit to society. But we also want to be rooted with. We want to be connected with them. We want them to FaceTime us when good or bad things happen. We want them around for Sunday dinners and holidays. We want to be connected with our grandkids. We want them to be around proximity-wise. So these legacy families actually don't use the word independence. They focus on interdependence. They focus on how do we let them have the ability to soar on their own, but then be deeply rooted and connected with the family. And so all of our tools work towards that with your family. And so it's a different way of thinking that that most people have never even thought about. But I think it's a critical thing for you to start building those tools to help your kids become interdependent with you. So we call it roots and wings. Give them roots, give them wings.
Yeah, I love that idea of roots and wings and that interdependence. It's really what I would think we all want.
It's what we all want.
You know, it's certainly what I want, and certainly what most of my friends, clients, listeners, I believe, want too. So thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go for hours. I so appreciate you coming by. We're going to put a QR code for anybody that goes and listens to the podcast or watches it on YouTube, so that you can link into Gravy Stack, as well as we're going to post
Family Legacy Workshop.
FamilyLegacyWorkshop.com.
And by the way, in those calls, we will give you the 23 strategies.
Okay.
We'll give you the full doc on that call.
That's awesome. So much powerful information and how you're going about it. And really, like I said from the get-go, a lot of energy, integrity in what you're doing, and just such a good message. I mean, it just hats off to you. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Keep it up.
Yeah, appreciate it. It was great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for listening. Don't forget that if you aren't just listening and you want to watch, you can go to YouTube and be sure to subscribe there. It's Finding Financial Flow Podcast on YouTube. And then also you can follow me on Instagram at Find Your Financial Flow. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Scott. It was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was the Financial Flow Podcast with me, Darren Wright. Thank you for listening, and I hope that today you were inspired and informed to move even more into your peak financial flow for success.